Hi, this is Stephen Beschloss with America,
And I'm Mark Jacob with the Stop the Presses newsletter.
and this is On Target.
And today we want to talk about the Supreme Court's, shocking decision in which they decided that immigration authorities could racially profile people. The decision means that in Los Angeles, they can stop and question somebody simply because they look Latino or because they speak Spanish or even they speak English with an accent or because they show up at some place like Home Depot for day work. I mean, it's shocking. It's appalling. And we also want to highlight a story written by Elie Mystal at the Nation, in which he takes this all apart, especially Brett Kavanaugh's ridiculous defense of the indefensible. Stephen?
Right. The title of Ms. Dahl's piece is, I think, very vivid and clear. The Supreme Court just gave the okay to racial profiling. This was in response to an injunction by a federal judge for Southern California, or maybe it was Central California, specifically to ban this for now. An appeals process was in a process, and it went to the Supreme Court to stop the stopping of this racial profiling. And the problem here is that this is a many millions of Latinos that are in California, that are in Los Angeles County, that are really at risk for this. And as Ms. Dahl sort of makes the point, what happened to equal justice under the law? What happened to racial profiling is unconstitutional. And there's another part of this, which is that this is another one that was ruled under the so-called shadow docket, which is this emergency docket where there's not proper or oral arguments, there's not proper full briefings, there's not deliberation, that they just essentially get to vote. And this has been on a dramatic increase. There were in the last term, 2023-2024, there were 44 of these kinds of rulings. This year, by the end of June, there were 113. So
And
it's on a dramatic rise to be making these quick decisions without proper deliberation. And in this case, the only one that you've got providing an opinion for the six justice majority is Brett Kavanaugh.
and in effect, this shadow docket stuff means that they don't have to really explain how this is constitutional. They just kind of, they just vote and do it. And in this case, Kavanaugh explained that it was just common sense, and he also says that this questioning of people without, what I would call probable cause is, quote, typically brief, and those individuals may promptly go free after making clear to the immigration officers that they are U.S. citizens or otherwise legally in the United States.
Yeah,
Yeah, no problem if you look like Brett Kavanaugh.
yeah.
And it's, and we've had multiple instances where US citizens have been mistakenly picked up in a dragnet and thrown in jail for days. And this is a crude process in which people are suffering, both people who are undocumented and people who aren't. And this idea that of Kavanaugh that, well, it's okay if for masked people to stop you on the street and start asking you questions, and that's no big deal at all. I mean, it's a no big deal for somebody like Brett Kavanaugh, but for the rest of us, it's a threat.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Mistal, I mean, I think one of the reasons I think you and I appreciate his writing in general and this piece in particular is that he doesn't soft pedal the rhetoric. He sort of says things as they are. I mean, his response to that quote from Kavanaugh about, they're typically brief and most people just, go free after making their clear, statements to the immigration officers. His comments are, yes, Brett, it's just a friendly conversation with your local Mass Jack boot. Just a totally polite and harmless conversation where, as long as you answer the corrections correctly, you do not end up on a plane to a concentration camp in Uganda. What could possibly go wrong?
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah.
you
I mean,
know,
he says it with a bit of humor, but he's really not he's not exaggerating all that much. That kind of stuff is happening in this country now, and the idea that I mean, it just blows my mind that you can like say that this kind of violation of basic human rights is no big deal. Every and the government. Why not trust the government? I mean, this country has not been based on the idea that we don't have rights guaranteed and we can just trust the government to do the right thing every time. That's not what this country's based on. And it used to be the Republicans agreed with that we needed to have guarantees and we needed to have protections. But obviously, it's become a fascist traitor party now, and they've just decided to just crack down on people that are who are vulnerable.
and a corrupt Supreme Court that a highly extreme partisan Supreme Court that's just going along with whatever it is that the government, which is to say Trump's regime, wants to do in this case to kind of continue to expand his powers. And again, one of the points here is that what does that mean? Every Latino or perhaps every American now needs to walk through the streets with proof of citizenship, or otherwise, the masked men are free to kidnap you without due process. I mean,
Right.
this was not something that was sort of laid out as sort of basic principles of our country, and here we are.
No, it's like a scene from an old movie about World War II where the Nazis are saying, "Your papers, please."
Yeah,
I mean, it's that kind of. Do we want to live in a state like that? I don't think we do, and I think we're going to fight back, Stephen. I mean, I'm going to fight back, and I know you are too.
yeah. I mean, I think this is what we have to do. Partly it's about speaking out. Partly it's about making sure that we're all informed. Partly it's about defending our friends and our neighbors and people who are most vulnerable. And partly it's going to be, I think, increasingly public demonstration.
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
Thank you, Mark. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you next
Stephen.
time.